Sex workers of Reddit, have any of you ever have a close friend or anyone you normally interact with daily be a surprise customer? What was the experience like, and how did it affect your interactions with them? Other way around. When I turned 22 or 23 for my birthday, we went out drinking and ended up at a strip club. Stripper was making her rounds on stage to everyone sitting at the pit. She jumped on me and says my name excitedly. Only then I realized it was an employee of mine. Made sense why she couldn't work nights. Edit. I was a manager at a restaurant and had like 15 employees at the time. Was not a big time businessman at 22. Attending a bachelor party a long time ago. The stripper came in, said hello, and went to the bathroom to fix herself up. She peeked out the door and called one of them over. Turns out, she went to high school with us, a couple of years younger. She called a friend to replace her and she left. Not a sex worker, but a girl from my high school became a somewhat popular cam model amateur PRN creator. Nearly 50 mil views on PH. My school was small so everyone knew everyone, and she dated a good friend of mine for a while. As if she was fitting a stereotype, she was the very quiet nerdy shy girl in high school. I found out what she did, but made no attempt to reach out to her because I had no reason. One day I came across her PRN Snapchat account, so I added it. My screen name on there is pretty much my full name, so it wasn't like I was trying to be sneaky. However, I assumed she was too busy to look at when people add her on things. Shockingly enough, she messaged me later that day and we chatted normally. She was super nonchalant about everything. Apparently another kid from our high school found out and went into her chat room spamming her real name followed by question marks. So she politely asked that I didn't do that. Seemed pretty reasonable. This was a few years ago. We are from the US, but she ended up moving to a major city in Europe. I happened to be visiting the area last year with my cousin for a backpacking trip, so on a whim I decided to send her a Snapchat saying I was in town. Again, I assumed she would be bogged down with messages from other people that she'd never even bother to look. To my surprise again, she got back to me right away, and we met for lunch later that week. I told my cousin we are meeting a friend and I informed him what she does for a living, but I told him not to bring it up unless she does. I wasn't sure how open she was about it in her day-to-day life. Sure enough, she showed up to lunch wearing a PH branded Letterman jacket with her stage name on the back. Kind of set the tone for what she was cool with talking about. Lunch was fantastic. We just chatted and caught up. She said we could ask her whatever we wanted to know, so all of my questions were about what it took for her to move to Europe. She also gave us tips of places to see while we were in town. TL. Doctor, a quiet girl from my high school, who I hadn't seen or talked to in years, moved away and became a cam model. While I was on vacation, I decided to reach out to her on a whim, and we had a very wholesome lunch. My mom was a stripper when I was in elementary school. A 22-year-old guy came in and paid for a lap dance, and my mom recognized his last name and asked if he knew Ruth. I have no earthly idea why she would ask him given what she suspected. He got weirded out and said that Ruth was his mom, and my mom said that his mom was her daughter's 3rd grade teacher. He then begged her not to tell his mom where he was. Apparently my mom just laughed and said she didn't want her daughter's teacher KOing that she was there either. I hated that teacher. She was such a jerk to me because we were poor and my mom always dressed slutty. I'm glad her kids weren't as uptight as she was. My much younger brother was getting married, had a bachelor party at a strip club with a dozen or so high school friends. After about an hour there, a rather ordinary looking stripper comes on stage, takes off her top, and our tables of guys goes wild, standing and applauding and hollering. I have no idea what is going on. The stripper looks through the stage lights. Her eyes get really big. She grabs her top and runs off stage to the back. Bouncers come running over to our table, thinking we are starting trouble. Nope. It turns out all of the guys in his high school class had a history class with her a few years back. She later came out and talked with us. Said she never thought she'd see someone, let alone 12. She knew it was in the next town over. I was a stripper back in the day. Halfway through a stage show, realized that my flatmate's brother and his friends were there. That's how I was outed. Lol. Nothing much changed. I was not a sex worker at all, but I was a fine art model for a college for a while. There were so many people that I went to high school with that entered those classes over the 2 years I worked there. Usually they wouldn't say anything, and I wouldn't say anything, and I would just get naked and pose for 3 hours lol. Sometimes we would chat after, but sometimes we would ignore each other and pretend it didn't happen. In the mid-90s my friends took me to a strip club for my bachelor party. A few cocktails and a few stage shows in, and out walks an ex-girlfriend of mine. She was stunningly beautiful, but bad crap crazy. My friends desperately tried to get her to give me a lap dance, offering her 5x the normal rate, but she refused. She said it would be too much of an emotional strain for her considering how intense our relationship was and ended. She ended up sitting with us between her floor shows and lap dances just chatting. She had gotten actually married and this was a way for her and her husband to save for a house. About halfway through the evening one of the other dancers grabbed me and pulled me up on stage, whispered into my ear, "Are you wearing underwear?" Which I affirmed. She pulled my pants down, sat me on a chair mid-stage, and another girl loosely tied my hands behind my back. Each girl took turns giving me a lap dance up on the stage. Turns out my ex paid them all for a lap dance and arranged the entire thing. Funny end to the story. After that event I was at work on the sales floor of a local big box retail chain working, and in walks my ex. We chatted and half a good laugh. My lunch came, and I went out into the mall towards the food court and my ex comes up beside me with a bit of a panicked look in her eye. She slides her arm under mine and leans in and kisses me on the cheek saying, "Let's go get that hot dog now." Befuddled I walk with her towards the food court and she proceeds to tell me one of her regulars was in the mall and he was stalking her. She told him she was married and he didn't believe her, so I got to play the part of her husband. I walked her out to her car after the hot dog and a leisurely chat to make sure she was safe and never heard from her again.